clear that we weren't getting on stage anytime soon. So that was sort of where how we got through that first hurdle of how do we keep everyone employed. And if you had been following what had been happening in some of the other major arts organizations and other theater companies right across Canada and North America, a lot of them at that point had to lay off significant numbers of their staff and employees. So we felt really fortunate in that moment, and we felt we had, we were able to use that opportunity. The second hurdle that came our way, and it's a blessing in disguise, because it was something that needed to be brought to the forefront regardless, but the moment in time brought it forward, which was the death of George Floyd and what that did to bring about the focus and the interest around the Black Lives Matter movement. It caused, obviously worldwide, a massive response and deep reflection about some of the issues around systemic racism. And that hit not just us as in Shaw, but it hit the theater community at large, right across North America, pretty hard. There are some issues that are sort of embedded in the theater model that have these ties to systemic racism. And here we are in Niagara-on-the-Lake, being a very, very predominantly white community, with only about 1% of the population being represented as BIPOC. And the term BIPOC is one that we sort of use interchangeably, but I'll outline it just in case it's not familiar. So Black, Indigenous, and persons of color. So BIPOC being that term. And while we had made these really big strides in recent years around diversifying the ensemble, so that we now had, it was sort of ranging between 30 to 40% of our ensemble members who were BIPOC, it didn't really feel like it was completely something that we had turned the corner on. And we were able to use that time when the actors weren't acting to get into some training that we needed to do with the company at large, and to get into some of those deeper conversations and the learnings and the listening. A big part of it was really listening to better understand what issues were even in our forefront that we might have had a blind spot to. So it was a blessing that we were given that time to do that. If we had been in full season performing, it would have been really hard to take that pause to really deeply reflect, listen, and understand. So that became an opportunity for us. And there's things we need to do going forward that we're going to work harder at to become more inclusive. And our third hurdle that came along was, by the end of September, the CEWS program changed again. So no longer could we get 75% wage subsidy. It was significantly reduced down, and it no longer made sense at this point to keep the entire group of artists on staff employed. We did keep 20 of them that we were able to continue to do concerts throughout the fall, both outdoors and then eventually moving to some indoor concerts with 50 people socially distanced. But in that time when that contract changed, the thing that happened is, because we had moved the artists to become the employees for the short term during the summer, they got enough weeks of employment under their belt that they now could access employment insurance, something as actors they never would have been able to access before. So while that didn't completely solve things, it certainly gave them a much softer landing, and is helping them as we sort of move through this next phase of, hopefully we'll be back on stage sooner than later, but they've got at least access to that support. And we've learned through the pandemic that how much the life of an actor is really one that's quite precarious. They live contract by contract, year over year. We, even for artists who've been with our company in a very sort of stable acting role for 20 years, every year it's a brand new contract. So you never quite know one year to the next where your status is. And then we've learned, sort of how precarious that can be when it comes to, circumstances like the pandemic, where people may, in other communities, may not have been able to access either, that CEWS funding or CERB, or eventually that employment insurance. So it's opened our eyes that there could be a new way forward, and maybe a way, not just at Shaw, but across the arts community in Canada, that we can better support artists and provide them a more stable base to build their careers. and that there's some responsibility around that we can share as one of the leaders in the field. So that was, that was some of the learnings we had at that time. And a sidebar being from that, I don't know if any of you know anyone personally who is an actor or a performer, but one of the things that was really hard for artists is, their calling is to perform. Their calling is to create, and to lose that sense of purpose and to lose that ability to perform on stage, even from an emotional level, it was a really traumatic year for artists. So whatever we could do to keep things going and provide opportunities for people to create and to perform, even in a virtual setting, really, I think, added value to their lives. And we know we were able to play a role in helping making it a bit easier as much as we could. So in November this past year, we actually went on sale for the 2021 season. And there aren't too many organizations that are selling tickets to performances. And some people might say, that's wildly optimistic, but that is part of our position in our mindset on how we've moved forward. We've changed our model. We don't have most of our theaters selling at full capacity at the first quarter, or the first part of the season, which, we know May, June, July, probably 30% houses. They're not going to be very large capacity audiences. But we're hopeful that by the fall, that will be able to increase. And we built our budget and we built our model for the upcoming year based around a shift. And it's really helped us as well that we had already gone down this path of spreading out our performances year round. So we now have a holiday season of performances that we run. And by next, November, December, we expect to be in full force. We really do anticipate that by then people's confidence and comfort in being able to come back for gatherings will be there once vaccines are a little more widely distributed. So I'm going to come back to where we started, which is the values that shaped our choices along the way, and how we were, we feel fortunate, but we were in a unique and different position than many other arts organizations. So we took that unique position and responsibility seriously. So first of all, the value was that we were very strongly rooted in a people-first philosophy. So certainly, we serve our audiences. That's who comes to participate in what Shaw offers. But we also have that ability to serve our company members, our employees. It's a very big group of people whose livelihood relies on this. And well, we could have made the choice to terminate the contracts with the artists at the beginning, and we could have made that choice in a way that saved dollars. Really, and we didn't need to keep them in their rental properties and covering their housing for them during that time. We didn't have to do those things, but we wanted to. We wanted to because it felt like it was the right thing to do. You go back to the four-way test, the Rotary four-way test, and it feels like it sort of fit in line with that. And that comes to the second thing I wanted to speak to, which was, we have been and we are going to continue to, as our artistic director calls it, play optimistically. It's sort of a term that's used in the rehearsal hall, but I think it speaks to the organization's approach. It's a mindset, and it's a mindset that really is based on a trust that, if we come at this from the right place, we're gonna figure it out and we'll get there together. So yes, we're on sale. We know we're gonna have limited house sizes, but we're gonna do the best with what we can with what we've got. And if that turns into doing more outdoor concerts or more outdoor performances in the short term, we will make that happen. And if that means audiences of 50 people at a time, we will make that happen. And if it means trying to do more activities online, we know that's not the core way that we operate. But if there's something that we can offer in that virtual format that is useful in this time of isolation, we will do that. We're going to find ways to keep serving our purpose as we go. And that comes to that third value, which is connection. And we talk about this a lot as an organization, and it really is so fundamental in how we operate. And I hope this helps you see how what we feel we do is more than just entertainment. We feel that we really operate from a place that connection is a basic human need. And to that extent, we are aware that arts provide a platform for connection. So in that way, we are serving a basic human need. And we're all very aware of the deficit of isolation and connection in this past year. And I think, everyone's adapted pretty well, but more than ever, we all realize how important human connection is and how much you miss it when it's not there. As I said, more than ever, we realize that we do serve that need as a performing arts company, because Shaw is about connecting people. Yes, people are connected to the words and the scenery and all of that. That's beautiful, but it's really much more than that. There's a connection between the audience and the actors that exists. But there's also a connection that exists amongst the audience members themselves. It's not going to be the same sitting in the theater with 30% capacity. You're going to miss having that person sitting beside you that you get to share a laugh with, or you get to, shed a tear with, and you're in, even strangers that you've never met before. It's this whole idea of it's a shared human experience, and that is such a powerful thing. So I really, I applaud that your Rotary Club has done such a great job of continuing to meet virtually. We know it's not the same as meeting in person, and there's this sort of deep longing to meet and connect with others. And I just want to end by sharing, one other value that's sort of key to our drive, which is service and giving back. They say when there's struggles, look for the helpers, right? Like that's the thing. And for us, many of us wanted to think about where do we fit in this time. So, at the get-go, our wardrobe department, they weren't making costumes anymore. They were making gowns, all the PPE equipment that we could distribute out to the hospitals locally, and making masks as well. We donated a whole bunch of our material to United Way so that one of their agencies could work on making masks. Because of the nature of our work, and we have a lot of people who do building the sets and the design work. We have a lot of N95 masks, and those all got donated over to Hospice Niagara. We recorded songs that we were able to deliver through YouTube to frontline workers, sort of some songs of hope. And we leaned into the opportunity to use this time to connect. And that was, our actors, our staff, our board members doing outreach phone calls to members and patrons. And what we found out is so many of those people are seniors living in isolation, and they just needed someone to talk to. So, picking up the phone and reaching out became just the most special thing. And also just the ways that we can provide things online to help people feel connected. So we created these wellness programs and outreach programs for schools. One of the programs for the schools, and you were talking earlier about vocational, I'll just briefly speak to this. We have this program where it's about what are all the jobs that are available in the theater world. And there are so many, from the artistry to design to engineers to performers to marketing. Like, it just goes on and on and on, finance. So we brought this program into a virtual platform in the schools that makes it entertaining and fun. And as well, finding ways to keep students engaged with theater. And we even came up with our own series of wellness for members. So for example, we have this Friends Gym program where a couple of our actors weekly deliver a program. One's for just, regular, and then the other one's for limited mobility, where they have an hour with a couple actors online, and there's a community of people who come together every week to do a little bit of, moderate exercise that they can do in the comfort of their own home. And in closing, I'm just going to tie it back to Rotary and the motto, service above self. So from a serve point of view, we found opportunities in the pandemic to serve our Shaw community of patrons and donors, to serve our employees with some greater financial stability and purpose, and to serve Niagara community at large with some of our outreach. When I think about peace through cultural understanding, the pandemic gave us time and opportunity to work through some of the racial inequities towards a more inclusive future for our organization and the arts community in general. And through service and in understanding our role and how we can make this world a better place, the pandemic has reinforced to us the importance of human connection and deepened our purpose to do this through art and shared experiences. So thank you.